Yes, you read the title correct. I'm currently down $48,000 this week, day trading the S&P and the Nasdaq. We're not currently closing off. This week's my first red week after 9 consecutive green weeks, and today I'll be talking about our trading day and how I was able to close out. So today was red day. I ended up taking a total of 2 trades with my community. First trade being a loser, and the second trade closing slightly green. Here is the look on the accounts via Lucid Trading. If you guys don't know, I'm currently doing a Lucid Black funded account kind of challenge with my Discord, where I'm just more so looking to compound those accounts alongside trading my personal account, alongside trading Take Profit Trader. And so yeah, here are the statistics. You go down here, you could see yesterday was a pretty successful day, closing around $250 per account. Today closed out about just shy of a negative $133 per account, leaving our week to about 120, or excuse me, I don't know why that says $22, but more so around $120 in profit per account. Started these accounts Thursday after passing the evaluations. And yeah, it's been a tough week. It's been a hard week. Lanto, are you gonna quit trading? Lanto, what the hell's happening, bros? You had a red week. This can't be happening. Yes, it's true. I'm red this week, right? And I want you guys to know that this is a part of trading, right? Through every trader who's ever been a professional at this, who's done this for a living, they know what I'm talking about. You're gonna have red weeks. You're gonna have periods and durations where you just don't see the best ROI. It's true. You're gonna have inconsistencies in the system that you follow. You're gonna have inconsistencies in everything that you do. Um, in terms of trading, if that makes sense. At some certain points, it's not all the time, but there's going to be periods, right, where you might not be seeing the best ROI, and that was the case this week, right? It closed out for about a -3R in the week, resulting in around a 48K hit. And I just want to kind of go over today. So in terms of the session for the open, I was relatively bullish, right? If you guys watched the last couple of reviews, there's a way we identify it. And obviously the Discord, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially, through utilizing our bias identification, we were able to more so get a gauge off the open, and we were a bit more neutral. Then we stood bullish after the opening range move. If you guys know what it is, that's essentially the initial move into an area of liquidity, typically an overnight high-low. And for me, I stood bullish coming into the open. I had avoided the open in terms of trading it. I more so looked to trade a bit after, because I was going to call my CPA, finally getting a lot of stuff set up and done back in Jersey. So yeah, came into the session here, came on live, and my bias perspective was expecting higher draw, because we had seen a good sequence where we had seen price more so come up here and trade into our overnight move or overnight highs and seek a move past this. So once we ended up seeing that, I more so looked to trade extension, be that again overnight price was pretty consolidative, but we were seeing higher time frames, still trade bullish overall. But it was a tough day. In terms of the technical aspect, the trade that we ended up taking, I really enjoyed it. I know I'm saying that when that trade ended up going red for this trade right here, but I liked it in terms of a technical aspect. It was a 5-minute gap, go get invert, and also a 1-minute gap, go invert. 2 bearish gaps, which turned a bullish inversion fair value gap, right? So we ended up seeing a retracement here, saw a good healthy rebalance. I believe it was the 15-minute gap. Yeah, we ended up seeing price come down here, and we ended up seeing price fulfill a 15-minute gap tap, I believe alongside a 30-minute. Yep. So I felt, the rebalance off there, the push back up reasonably made sense for further extension. And these are the type of trades in November, December, any other duration where you see price kind of give entry and flourish from there. Today, that was not the case. Today, post AM, post essentially the open move, price was pretty consolidation prone the entirety of the session. And so it's kind of tough, because when you're very used to a certain way of how price delivers consistently, when you have these inconsistencies, it makes you second guess yourself, and it makes you almost want to fucking bunny hop strategies, right? Not for me per se, but I'd assume for a lot of you guys out there. But I think the biggest piece of advice I can give you guys is to stay to that strategy, right? Once you've found something that works, truly works, and you have seen it work within a certain trader, They've yielded consistent gains or, profitability through the course of duration. Not one day, not 1 week, not 1 month. I'm talking about through a years span. I don't know if they tell you, but there's going to be inconsistencies as there was in my system, right? You're not going to be perfect all the time. That wasn't the case this week. That wasn't the case today. We ended up taking a 5-minute gap here, like I said, go long. It was this 5-minute gap here precisely, which inverted alongside a 1-minute gap, which inverted as well. Took entry, our confirmation, obviously, through the live stream and through the text give was right here. Took entry. My lucid fills were around here. Because I took my TradeMate personal and my TBT accounts first, right? So my fill was a bit better as the model entry. My lucid accounts were a couple seconds later, so I took off this candle. We ended up seeing price essentially initially stay afloat and above our entry target before eventually coming back down and seeing stop get ran. The stop was a swing low, conviction was higher draw, break even stop set in place were at high of day, and we simply looked for higher continuation, potentially riding into this level right here, which I believe is, if I recall correctly, yeah, it's an hourly high, right? So we've seen these type of trades here that we've taken on plenty of times in the past, which have worked out tremendously. Just did not work out today. And with these type of trades here, I'm not going to be too upset with myself, specifically this one right here, because we didn't recognize or we couldn't see that price was going to start slowing down. So at the point of time of entry, price was still trading well, right? You kind of go back here and you look at when we took entry. This is a healthy 5-minute candle. We saw a good inversion sequence back up, after seeking this display sequence here. Can't blame yourself. Being a today chat, the reason, we're not down that much is because we were half risk, and that's kind of how we go. We have a specific way in the room on how we size, and that's what we did. So in terms of the executions, which I have posted, right, you can see that there. That's a part of it. That was trade number 1. We took the inversion, boom, came down, stopped out, and so yeah, conviction was wrong. Once we ended up seeing price kind of flip back down, put it in a set high. What I will say is this high that we ended up putting in place was not A+. But it fit in because, again, today was a half risk day. So usually we go 1 hour risk on certain days, and certain days we go half hour risk through kind of basing off historical data and just through my trading system. And so, what am I buying? Just go blank. For me specifically, I just heard something. For me specifically, you end up seeing price kind of come back down here. We see a shift. And for me, what I look for every single time when it comes to price seeking reversal is obviously a good high being put in, and 2, constant sharp displacement on the flip back down. You don't end up seeing that happen here first initially, but then you see price kind of engulf. Once you run past our stop on that swing low, which, was a good invalidation point, you see price ideally look for continuation lower, and you see price eventually come back down here to where you eventually go invert off this 5-minute gap, which is the short I ended up taking, right? There's 2 main components we utilize in terms of identifying the best gaps to kind of block out all the noise. And this gap happened to be that. We ended up seeing a really good gap come back down here. 5-minute gap. It was also, I believe, a 1-minute gap here, which was the actual entry. But we ended up going short here off this trade. In terms of our confirmation off this trade here specifically, we ended up taking this trade here at around 12:46 a.m. p.m. if I recall correctly. We ended up seeing price kind of go invert off that. And then we see price essentially, similar to this trade, initially float in profit, but then eventually consolidate pretty hefty. This trade ended up closing out and realizing for about, I believe, like a 0.3 R, 0.5 R, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 0.46, but essentially 0.5 R. So, this trade had good conviction off the flip back down. But what I want you guys to see, which is the most important thing here, is the inconsistency in price action. Now, you could look at these 2 trades and be like, Lanta, these were bad trades, etc., where you shouldn't have taken. In my eyes, with these trades specifically, I actually like them despite what happened. The reason I feel like these trades did not end up panning out fully is because price has no eagerness in seeking a massive move, in terms of recent time, especially like this month. If you kind of reference the hourly here, how many times, chat, have we seen a move off the open deliver and we've seen price just trade inside since? Or how many times do we just end up trading inside through overnight price, off the open this month? So you look at the hourly time frame for the entirety of January here, or this week here specifically, and then you look at a month like December, you look at a month like November, you see how much more consistent we are in directional movement. Sure, we'll have our retraces, but you see directional movement here. You see how much more consistent we are with that, right? Let me go back precisely. But yeah, you're seeing these moves here consistently happen. Likewise with December. With NQ here this past week, I mean, look at that hourly, right? Look at the hourly here in terms of how the week's been, and then look at, a basic week in November, right? Even if we're seeing price kind of range bound, which like we did here, we're seeing more extensive moves, right? We're seeing a lot bigger movement on the hourly time frame, which is what we want as scalpers, because the more we move in terms of fluidity, the more probability we have in terms of capitalizing off a good trade. If you see price trade within a small range consistently and you have bigger take profit goals, or you have the same take profit goals as you would have through November's price action or December's price action, you're not going to see those take profits get hit because price is a lot smaller in range. And I think that's one thing I do have to work on, or could have worked on better for January so far, is having kind of smaller take profit goals. I was very optimistic some days where price clearly didn't want to really do much, like a day like today. We see our open happen, we see price consolidate. So yeah, a pretty small range here. All I'm waiting for more so here, and I feel like once price does this thing, which is essentially once price ends up, start moving again, and we see price tag out, buy sides here, sell sides here, buy sides here, but not only within, a week span, but we're seeing this happen consistently. Once we start seeing price pick up again in terms of large movements on the hourly time frame, 4-hour time frame, higher time frame in general, I feel that's when we'll see a lot more profitability, right? Like I said, with these trades here specifically, I know we're down a little bit today, right? I don't know what the hell. Okay. I know we're down here a little bit today. But I feel like these trades are not bad. These are trades I take in November, December all the time. Again, the reason we don't end up seeing these trades pan out fully is because price doesn't want to deliver. So in terms of adjustments, something I could have done this month more so is look for more so reversal trades, play that range, or look for more realistic take profit goals. I could have done that for sure, but that's not price telling me to change my system. It's just telling me to change my areas of interest. More so specifically, right? I'm not changing my strategy. There's nothing wrong with my strategy. But there's definitely room for improvement in terms of how I utilize price and look at it. And so that's obviously, you guys know, price action is one of my biggest, main key components. And we end up seeing price here is chopped down. And you can see how optimistic my take profit goals were for today, right? My take profit one for this trade right here was this high right here, this hourly high. Price was too choppy to take. And then my take profit goal for the short was on a lows. Price was too choppy to take. I can't be having these optimistic goals when you're seeing price trade within a tiny ass range for hours consecutively during New York, right? That's more so the narrative here. I think at least for the second trade specifically, this first trade I'm fine with, or I'm not, upset about really, because again, we didn't recognize that price was going to slow down here until after the trade. But the trader specifically after jabbing out here and seeing price slow down, we should have been a bit more weary, I guess. But it's fine. We'll make the adjustment starting next week. In the room, we'll have kind of simpler take profit goals. We won't be as eager in collecting good R's. We'll be looking for realistic, more so compound hits, specifically at least for the Lucid accounts, so I can be able to scale them with you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the review. And again, like I said, chat, one of the most important things I want you guys to do consistently, whether you're in the room or not, obviously, is go ahead and keep on following your system, right? That's the number one thing you want to do. Keep following your system. And again, if you found something that is proven and you know that works, you're going to have your inconsistencies. You're going to have your moments where it's not the best. So, once you found that blueprint, whether it's from another trader, whether it's from me, whoever, just keep on following it, right? And don't bite into those emotions. Don't bite into that greed. Just because you're red, don't go out there, go tilt and go revenge trade. Accept it for what it is, as I did today. And simply move on, right? That's it. I'm red this week. I'm down $48,000 this week. Some people can't even fathom that, right? But it is what it is, right? Because I know at the end of the day, once price picks up, once I'm more so in alignment and I adjust, right, and am able to read the charts a bit better, get back to that point, I'll be in flow state, right? I'll be making money again, no problem. This 48K red week. Hopefully this time next week you can come back and kind of reflect on this video and talk about how the improvements that we were talking about making here actually came into fruition and manifested. So, yeah, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one, and peace out, y'all.